Let's get started. It's 10 o'clock and we're ready to start. If you'd find your seats. Welcome to our regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. We have Commissioner Tarkanian online. Can you hear us, Commissioner Tarkanian?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Good, and we can hear you. We will begin this meeting with a Pledge of Allegiance, and we will ask Commissioner Tolbert to lead us in the pledge.
Make eye contact. Please repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to pull item J.
Okay.
Just so this is a $4 million project, and that's what he's for.
Okay. We'll begin with opening public comment, and this is public comment for matters that are not on our agenda, or if you want to speak to something on the agenda but can't be here later, you're welcome to do it now. If you want to speak on any consent agenda items or on the liquor board item, now would be the time to do that. We will be pulling consent item J to hear it on the administrative agenda. So our public comment is limited to 3 minutes. And you'll 2.5 minutes, the yellow light will go on, and you'll hear a beep. And at 3 minutes, the red light will go on, and you'll hear a bigger beep. So with that, we welcome you to come. Give us anyone who would like to give opening public comment. Brooke 80. Oh, Jim Jackson, and then Brooke 80. Welcome.
Good morning, Brooke 80, Community Services Director. I am here to make an announcement. Today's a big day. We are starting our first congregate senior meal dining today at the Kale Community Center. So every Thursday up at the Kale Community Center, the doors will open at 11. We will start serving lunch at 12, and it will go on every Thursday. And so we're really excited about it, and we hope that people have an opportunity to come up there and join us. So thank you.
Thank you for that. It's excellent work. Mr. Jackson.
Good morning. I'd like to talk about statistics. I was here when you made a presentation on the Painted Rock Quarry and all the numbers of the traffic and everything that go back and forth on Fremont and East Valley. And I found them to be a little lacking. The size of the longer trucks said there was very few of them that went down that road. Well, just today, on my way down here, 5 of them were heading back up to the mine. They were empty, but of the extremely long trucks. The other day, right after that presentation, on my way down here, I had to sit at the corner of Tony and Fremont as 5 trucks went by. Now, that was just on 2 days. And I believe in the statistics, it had less than 3 for however long that period was. Like they always say, you can make numbers say anything you want them to say. The other thing I found with that presentation that was a little bit biased was the picture of the road going out to the mine. You showed it as an absolute pristine road, blue skies, nice little puffy clouds. That's only on a Saturday or maybe a Sunday. And stuff. It's not during the week. During the week, that is nothing but a dust cloud coming down there, even with the pavement, because the dust is coming off of the trucks and everything. So the statistics that were quoted in that, I find a little faulty, almost as bad as the Fonzie that allowed this whole thing to happen. Another one of the statistics that I found a little bit ridiculous was the 4-way stop at Johnson and Fremont. It was portrayed as it doesn't come up to the standards of putting a 4-way stop in there. Well, if you go down to Stephanie and East Valley, which is maybe 1.5 miles away from there, that's a 4-way stop. You might have less than 10% of the number of cars going through that intersection as you do Johnson and Fremont. So again, Somebody's not being honest with us. The only thing that came out of that meeting that I thought was interesting was we had all the reasons why we can't do something. None of them made sense except Commissioner Tolbert, when he said one of the things to consider with the stop sign there is they're going to increase the noise of the truck stopping and starting. Now that made sense. Doesn't mean you don't want to put a four-way stop there for safety reasons, but at least that was a valid reason for not doing it, not just counting the numbers that you can manipulate and do whatever you want with. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Conway, welcome.
Ron Conway, Johnson Lane. I came today to address one particular thing, covering of the loads. I read last week, week and a half ago, whatever, that the tarps or covers would not hold the material in the trucks. That's not correct. A tarp is not designed to hold the material in the truck. A tarp is designed to break the wind from hitting the material in the truck. That's what keeps the material in the truck. There is one particular type of truck that may happen. It's called a 10-wheeler. It's not the super dump, not anything else, and it's because of the design of the bed. Now, if that material comes out the side of that truck under that tarp, guess what? It's now in violation of that same statute because the driver did not tarp the load correctly, so the load is not secure, falls back on the driver. So you're trying to use a thing that's 1% of the issue to give permission for everything. Those loads need to be covered. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The material comes out, it's across the entire county. Now, it also said in that same thing about wetting the loads, spraying water on the loads. While it will help, it's not going to fix it. Two things make water evaporate: heat and wind. If you don't cover the load, the wind is going to hit that water and it's going to evaporate. Good chance, before that load gets to where it's going to start blowing because that water is going to evaporate and be gone. Again, it's excuse after excuse after excuse. The loads need to be covered by state law. If the material becomes detached from the load, it is then in violation of that law. That law is not reactionary. That law is preventative. It says prevent as to not become detached. How is this that difficult? You wet it, it ain't going to work. It'll help. I give you that. It'll help. But then you're going to have water consumption. You have no idea where the water consumption is going to go. The water consumption is going to skyrocket when they get into full production. And if you want to know why, just simply pick up the phone and ask me. It's an area that I know better than I should. Water consumption out there is going to skyrocket. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other opening public comment? Is there any response to the public comment? Commissioner? Oh, Commissioner Gardner.
Thank you. I didn't have a response to public comment. I just wanted to indicate that and recognize, and I hope the public recognizes, I'm a little bit casual today, but there's a reason for that, okay? Is that we're in Rodeo Week, Douglas County Rodeo Week. Starting tonight, there's an event at TJ's Corral, and then tomorrow night will be the rodeo out at the fairgrounds, Friday and Saturday night, and then the Cowboy Church on Sunday. I understand, I was just out there. We do have our new bleachers that we purchased, 3 stands of bleachers, adding about 1,200 seats out there to that event. I want to warn you that if you come early, they're aluminum. So you probably want to bring something to keep your rear end from burning on the stands. Don't wear shorts, probably. And probably one of the best investments that this county has ever made in regards to increasing the capacity out there. General admission tickets are still available, $65 each, and are available on a walk-up basis. So, anyways, and I believe there's going to be 85 vendors out there. So a tremendous opportunity, and some of our own local talent. Mr. Coverly is in the team roping competition on Friday and Saturday night. So good luck to you, Mr. Coverly. You do the head or the hind legs? I think it's the head, right? Yeah. Okay. I remember seeing you. So, anyways, good luck. Look good. Okay. Thank you. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
Do we need to include the pull of the consent or with the
Sure.
motion? And it's,
Item J.
okay, Madam Chair, I move that we approve the agenda as proposed with item J being pulled from the consent for presentation or whatever.
Oh, second.
It's been moved by
Nailed it.
Commissioner
You nailed
Tolbert,
it.
seconded by Commissioner Rice, that we approve the agenda with the change noted. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Agenda item 5 for possible action, discussion to approve the draft minutes of the August 7, 2025 regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners.
Move the agenda, the minutes be approved as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Rice that we approve the August 7th minutes, and seconded by Commissioner Gardner. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Carries unanimously. We will recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as Douglas County Liquor Board. Agenda item 7 for possible action, discussion to approve the restricted mobile liquor license for Board and Barrel, represented by owner Marcella Crandall. Marcella Crandall has signed a waiver of notice of hearing. Board and Barrel is located at 3539 Tourmaline Court, Carson City, Nevada. Captain Stork.
Good morning, Captain Stork for the record. This applicant has completed all the required paperwork and passed their background checks, and the Sheriff's Office is not opposed to the applicant.
Thank you. Commissioner Gardner.
Yes, unless there's other questions, I will entertain, I'll make a motion. I did want to indicate in the process that we have a portion of our county that gets their mail from Carson City. So we're not approving items that are in the physical constraints of Carson City and Carson County. So anyways, or the consolidated municipality, I don't know what their term is, okay? I get corrected by one of their supervisors every time I do this, but anyways, I move to approve the restricted mobile liquor license for Board and Barrel, represented by owner Marcella Crandall, who has signed a waiver of notice of hearing as presented.
Oh, second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Gardner, seconded by Commissioner Rice, that we approve this item. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you, Captain Stork. Is Marcella Crandall here with us today? Oh, good. Well, thank you for coming, and we wish you well. We will adjourn as the Douglas County Liquor Board and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners. Moving to the consent calendar, is there a motion for all items except J?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Gardner?
I move for the approval of the consent calendar items A through M minus item J as presented.
Is there a second?
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Gardner, seconded by Commissioner Tarkanian, that we approve consent agenda items A through M minus J. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Moving to the administrative agenda, we will hear item J. We will hear the two presentations at the request of Commissioner Gardner. 11-1 for presentation only, ceremonial presentation of Proclamation 2025P-082, proclaiming the month of September 2025 as Suicide Prevention Awareness Month in Douglas County. We will ask Debbie Posnian to come forward, the Executive Director of Suicide Prevention Network, and just an incredible asset in our community. Welcome to the team. We're so glad you're here. Come on up, fill in. All right. It is my privilege to read this proclamation 2025 P-082, declaring September 2025 as Suicide Prevention Awareness Month in Douglas County. Whereas the Douglas County Board of County Commissioners recognizes September as National Suicide Prevention Month to raise awareness that suicide is a serious but preventable public health issue. And whereas suicide is the 11th leading cause of death in the United States, and in 2022, Nevada reported approximately 698 deaths by suicide, ranking among the highest rates in the nation. Even one suicide has a profound and lasting impact on families, friends, and the community. And whereas the Suicide Prevention Network, founded in Douglas County in 1999, provides free services, including crisis intervention, support groups, education, and outreach, while working with community partners to strengthen crisis response and behavioral health support. And whereas reducing stigma, recognizing warning signs, and connecting people to resources such as the Suicide Prevention Network and the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline are vital steps in saving lives. Therefore, be it proclaimed that the Douglas County Board of County Commissioners hereby recognizes September as Suicide Prevention Awareness Month in Douglas County, affirms that suicide is a preventable public health issue, commends the Suicide Prevention Network and its partners for their dedicated life-saving work, and encourages all residents to help reduce stigma, recognize the warning signs, and reach out with compassion to support one another. What great work you guys are involved in. Thank you very much. Let's applaud our suicide prevention group. We'd like to hear from you, and then we'll take some pictures.
Okay. Good morning. When I first began this position many years ago, the word suicide could not even be mentioned. People were afraid. And these years now, because of my support with my staff and board members, we are making a huge difference in Douglas County. We can't do it alone. And so today is so important to us because you, as county commissioners, are recognizing that it is definitely a health issue that we all need to work on every single day. And we need to say the word suicide because you know what? We're talking about it and we're making a difference. With all of the programs that we do in the community are making a difference because they are preventative programs. And that's what's really getting people to come into our office and calling and saying, I need help. So again, we thank you for inviting us here today. We appreciate your support. And I want to make sure that I thank every single one of these people for the work that they do. Okay, all right. Terry Taylor is a board member. He's been a board member 22 years at least, right? He's been here as long as I have. Dave Brady, he's our treasurer. Denise Castle She has been with me from the very beginning. Joanne is our bookkeeper. Amy is our program coordinator. And look at this young girl. This is Skylar. And Skylar is going to be doing her internship at the office, and we are super proud. And this is Hannah. Hannah is our peer counselor, and she's working with families that are really, really struggling, so we're excited to have Hannah. We've got Christy, who is the coordinator in Alpine County. We've got Michelle, who does everything around the office. We are so proud to have Michelle. She's our grants manager, and we couldn't do it without her. You know, I have been the director for a very long time, and it's getting more and more difficult to receive grants. As long as I was involved in receiving grants, we received a grant for more than 12 years. And I was just given the news that that grant will no longer be supporting suicide prevention. So funds they're tough, right? So that's why Dan Coverly years ago was a dancer. He went out and he made sure that he shook his booty, I guess I could say that, and brought in lots of people and money. So it's our one fundraiser that we do a year, so just be very careful when I come and approach you, because it's really hard to say no. So thank you so very much for making today just so very special for us. I'm so emotional.
Yeah.
That looks pretty good. That works. Yeah. Yep, perfect. All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Great, thank you.
Moving to 11.2 for presentation only, presentation regarding the integration of the Dial 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline with existing local emergency response systems. The 988 line connects individuals experiencing behavioral health emergencies with trained crisis counselors, reducing reliance on law enforcement and emergency medical services for mental health interventions. We have with us Robin Reedy, who is the executive director of NAMI, and we welcome you, Robin. We also have with us Megan Quintana, who is the 988 Crisis Response System Unit Supervisor. So, Ms. Reedy, we'll turn it to you to move forward as you would like.
Thank you. I do want to just take a moment here, because this was where 30-some years ago I first got up to speak in front of a group of people. And I've never spoken to a group of people. So hopefully my voice isn't going to shake the way it did that night. So this is really coming back. You know, as some of you know, I lived here in Douglas County for 30-some years. And I will tell you now I'm in Story County, approaching retirement. But Douglas County is always going to be part of my heart. And so driving into the valley, I know I've worked with Sheriff Coverly when you were first elected and introducing NAMI. Rice and I go back too long, too far, and Charlotte. But I do want to also thank Commissioner Gardner for inviting us here. He saw our presentation at NACO. So I just want to say how much I appreciate coming and recognize that this is a partnership between NAMI, the state, and Carillon, who's doing the 988 services. So we want to bring them to you. And when was the last time someone from the state came here to talk to you about services that they're trying to bring across the state? So please, thank you for having us, and I'm going to have it start off with Megan. Thank you.
Does this work? Okay. Sorry. Good morning. My name is Megan Quintana. I am the 988 supervisor for the state of Nevada's Division of Public and Behavioral Health. Thank you to Douglas County Commissioners for allowing us to come and speak to you today about 988. Wanted to recognize Sheriff Coverly as well. Nice to see you again. We met with you recently to talk about mobile crisis response in Douglas County. I'm also joined today by Robin Reedy at NAMI Nevada. They're our partner. They're the ones that are leading the 988 Coalition statewide, as well as Mai Tran from Carillon Behavioral Health. They are our statewide administrative services organization, helping us to run the 988 program for the state of Nevada. All right, I'm going to try to figure out this PowerPoint thing. No. I might need help. I'm sorry. Should I just scroll? Okay. You good? Okay. So I kind of skipped over. This is just a required slide that we have to present every time we talk to any community partners. Just talks about the division's overall mission, vision, and purpose. Essentially, it's to make everyone in Nevada's life healthy, happier, longer, and safer. And what I plan to do today is to just kind of give you an overview of 988, how it operates, who can use it, when to use it. And then I will turn it over to Mai from Carillon to introduce herself and talk a little bit about that. And then Robin will come back up, provide some information about the 988 Coalition, how you can join the coalition. We will talk about statewide 988 marketing that the state is currently working on, and then just a couple thoughts I had about how 988 and Douglas County can partner together to help your community members. So many of you know, but if you don't, 988 is a 3-digit number. You can call, text, or chat online to talk with a human being. Sorry, lost my place. So when you contact 988, you are going to be connected to a trained crisis counselor who can provide you with behavioral health help. If you're not familiar with behavioral health, it refers to how your thoughts and emotions can influence your behavior and affect your physical health. One thing I want to point out is that sometimes it's called the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. The state of Nevada is kind of trying to move away from calling it a suicide line or a crisis line. We want people to understand that it is more than just that. Yes, we want you to call if you're experiencing suicidal thoughts or you're experiencing a major life crisis, but it's also for those lower level issues that affect us all. It could be, financial issues, relationship issues. Part of this is prevention, right? We want to prevent people from getting to that point of becoming suicidal. And 988 is a way to get help right now. I lost the page. So when someone contacts 988, they're often in need of immediate help, and every second counts. We recently launched a second 988 call center in Southern Nevada through an executed contract with Carillon Behavioral Health, expanding capacity alongside Crisis Support Services of Nevada. And I'd like to recognize them. They have been the state's only crisis center for nearly 60 years. This expansion aims to answer 95% of 988 calls within 20 seconds by a trained crisis counselor who also resides in Nevada. So this is not going to be answered by somebody in New York. It's local people that know what the issues Nevadans are facing. The 988 Lifeline is ready to respond and will immediately screen users for suicidality and help them develop a plan to stay safe. 988 is also a way for Nevadans to find empathy through an array of life stressors. As I already mentioned, this could be thoughts of suicide, work issues, relationship challenges, or anything else that may disrupt your life. Callers remain anonymous and only share what they're comfortable with. Personal details are only requested in situations involving immediate risk to the caller or public safety. I'd like to point out that is a difference between 911 and 988. I think a lot of times the two get compared. 911, they're going to know all of your information. 988, they're not necessarily going to unless there is a threat to public safety or to somebody's life. And I would also like to point out that approximately 0.5% of callers required law enforcement intervention where the safety of the caller couldn't be guaranteed. So that means that almost all of the calls that are going to 988 do not require any sort of further law enforcement or medical intervention. This approach to help is always going to be the least invasive, prioritizing the caller's comfort. The Lifeline is a way for people to be connected to the right resource. It offers support and connection to care by stabilizing individuals in crisis and connecting them to long-term care when needed. 988 provides tailored resources based on the caller's location. So if someone's calling from Minden, the hope is that they're going to be provided resources that are local to that individual, not trying to send them to Reno for resources. It should be noted that a caller's exact location, though, is not known unless the caller chooses to provide that information or their safety cannot be guaranteed. I'm not sure if you guys have heard, but 988 implemented recently what's called geo-routing. And I want to point out that is different from geolocation, which is what 911 utilizes, that pinpoints the caller's exact location. Geo-routing more just looks at a broad area of where the individual is calling, not their exact location. So that is just a slight difference there. 988 serves as a go-to for behavioral health issues, offering help with stress, substance use, thoughts of suicide, gambling, and more. However, 988 should not replace long-term behavioral health care, such as therapy, but it can provide immediate support to individuals in crisis and connect them to needed resources. And you may be wondering who can use 988. Essentially anyone. It's not up to us to define what a crisis might be. It's going to be different for every person. Family and friends can also call on behalf of a loved one in distress to receive guidance on how best to support them. I'd also like to point out it can be used by law enforcement, EMS, medical providers. Those are really high-stress jobs. 988 can serve as a way for maybe them to debrief if needed. And I'd also like to point out that in 2024, Nevadans contacted the Lifeline over 52,000 times. We had 414 of those contacts coming directly from Douglas County. So as I stated before, how 988 works, there's 3 options to reach. You can call, just simply pick up your phone, dial 988, press send, it'll connect you to a counselor. Same thing with text. You text you text to the number 988. It'll connect you to a counselor via text. Chat, you would navigate online to 988lifeline.org. There is a chat option on that website. The state is working on integrating that link onto our own website, as well as Carelon, the 988 Coalition. We'd like to maybe partner with you guys as well. Maybe we can have the link on some of your websites just to provide that additional resource. There is also an option for deaf and hard of hearing individuals. I believe that's accessed through the Lifeline website as well. I'm not going to play, there's like a snippet that plays the recorded message when you call, but sometimes technology doesn't like to cooperate, so we won't do that. But essentially when you call, you dial in, it connects you to an automated message. One thing that many individuals aren't aware of, it does kind of go through a list of options for like Spanish speakers. I think there used to be another, we don't have the LGBTQ line anymore, but there's a veterans lifeline. If you don't want to listen through that entire message, you can press 0 at any time and it will connect you directly to a counselor. There may be a brief hold time. Like we said, our goal is no more than 20 seconds of a hold time before you're connected with an actual human being. And texting and chatting work essentially the same way. I personally tried out the text function because I just wanted to see how it worked. It does take a little bit longer with the text option to get connected, but again, that will be to a counselor who is residing in Nevada. One other thing, I know Mai will touch on this a little bit more, but the call center in Southern Nevada is strictly answering calls that come in through Clark County, and Crisis Support Services of Nevada, who's stationed up in Reno, is assigned to answer essentially the rest of the state. So once you're connected, like I said before, the counselor's first priority is a rapid safety assessment. They're going to ensure that the caller is not in any imminent danger. Once their safety is established, the counselor shifts to active empathetic listening, providing calm and non-judgmental space. If longer-term support would be helpful, the counselor can share appropriate resources and referrals so the person can access ongoing care. And we also know that 988 is a needed service. We know the public wants this help. Research shows that over 80% of Americans would prefer a mental health-focused response as opposed to law enforcement. This shows a clear public desire for specialized, compassionate care. Data also suggests that less than half of Americans feel safe calling 911 for behavioral health emergencies. Many worry that law enforcement-led response might not address their needs and could even escalate them. With more than 38% of Americans unsure of what to do to help a friend or a loved one, we can see an urgent need for greater public education around crisis resource and response options. And how 988 helps Nevada. In 2023, Nevada recorded 654 deaths by suicide, over 2,100 attempts, and more than 12,000 hospitalizations. Yet many more people experience crisis without ever reaching the hospital. The Lifeline receives up to 4,200 Nevada callers per month, each a moment where someone in distress was connected immediately to a trained counselor and got the help that they needed. 988 over time will also reduce the use of jails and hospitals. Comprehensive Nevada data is currently unavailable. However, other states like Colorado demonstrate how an effective response system reduced inpatient admissions by up to 78% and jail costs by over $3 million. Nevada data shows that approximately 80% of contacts to the Lifeline are stabilized and do not require any further interventions from law enforcement or EMS. Timely crisis counseling like this can significantly reduce the risk of death, suicide attempts, or hospitalizations. And I like to just throw this in. I think this is a good graphic to kind of simply compare the differences between 988 and 911. And they kind of meet in the middle to demonstrate that we're working on whole person care. So 911 is always going to be used for crime, physical emergencies, threat to life, where 988 is more for a behavioral health crisis or emotional distress. So both of these provide critical supports, but focus on different types of crises. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the crisis continuum. So 988 is just a part of the whole crisis continuum. We really, as the state, felt that it was important to focus first in on the Lifeline itself so that people can really understand what it is and how to use it. We are still working on building out the crisis continuum for the state of Nevada. There are essentially 4 components to this. The first is someone to contact, so that's calling, texting, or chatting the 988 Lifeline. The second is someone to respond. That would be mobile response teams, like Douglas County MOST team would be a component of that. And then the third is a safe place for help. So that can be behavioral health urgent cares, crisis stabilization centers, high intensity behavioral health emergency centers. And then lastly, we're looking at follow-up care for those individuals who are reaching out through the crisis continuum. All right, I am going to turn it over to Mai with Caroline so that she can introduce herself.
So I do want to just say, most of you know, I'm very much a research-oriented person. And so when Caroline came on, I went on every website, every place I could look. And, you know, in my job at NAMI Nevada, I do a lot of research on healthcare facilities and providers. And so I look for not only the good, but I look for the bad. What have people complained about? And I'm going to tell you, I was very pleased that I could not find complaints on Carillon. So proof positive that they do a good job is they hired Mai.
Your testimony. I appreciate you. Thank you all so much for having all of us here. Very excited to be here. I loved that I got to be here for the proclamation for Suicide Prevention Month. I've had the great honor of connecting with Debbie and her team up here, maybe last year sometime. And so I just love that I got a chance to be here again. So my name is Mai Tran. I am the Community Engagement Manager with Carillon Behavioral Health. I'll share a little bit about Carillon and then a little bit about myself. So Carillon is a national organization that strictly works in behavioral health. So you can see it on the screen here, if you can see it. So we really combine national expertise that's curated local capabilities to really deliver an integrated, high-performing crisis system of care. So we do that through 3 different pillars or programs. So we have the Crisis Contact Center, which is our contact center services for calls, texts, and chats, which is what we are currently doing in Nevada. We just, as Megan mentioned, opened up the Southern Nevada 988 call center on July 1. So we've got about 2 months now we've been running that. We do that through crisis system management, so operational oversight and quality management of the crisis system. So that's also known as the Crisis ASO. And then lastly, Carillon does this through Total Crisis Solution, so it combines crisis contact services and system management. So as Megan mentioned, we were hired on as the ASO, so the Administrative Services Organization for Nevada, and really our role with that is to work out the vision that the state has as it pertains to the crisis continuum of care. Carillon has been in the business of behavioral health for many decades, and really for the last 10 years we've gone into states, and Nevada makes the 9th state that we've really been able to come in and help work through that and build out that crisis continuum of care. Now I've been working with Carillon for just a couple of months. I previously was a state director of Nevada for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, so this is something that is really personal to me. I have been living in Las Vegas for about 15 years now, and we have a team. Carillon has hired a team of just about 48 people, I believe that it is, that are all Nevadans. So that way, the work that we're doing is with Nevada, for Nevada, by Nevada, and that's really, really important to us. And as we go down through here, and so I love this little line up here, is nothing about us without us, and that's really truly what Carillon is interested in doing, and that's why we have a local staff that is in here working through this ASO with DPPH. So it's about augmenting Nevada's crisis system, which is really about drawing on those best practices from our stakeholders across northern, southern, and rural Nevada. And we're going to integrate them into a cohesive statewide framework that still respects regional needs and provides those specific resources. I love to mention that CSSNV is not going anywhere. In fact, we're really taking from that 60 years of history and groundwork that they've been doing and making sure that we're able to put that into the work that we're doing now. And they're actually going to be, they are a delegate of Carillon, so they'll be going onto our crisis safety platform for those 988 calls. That's going to be happening on 10/1. And then, like I already mentioned, it's really ensuring that our staff is localized to each center. Our call volumes, like Megan mentioned already, will be aligned with call origins. That's using that local routing to really appropriate support and resources. And then additionally, we really want to enhance the system with layers of clinical oversight for that statewide consistency. as well as those unified metrics, KPIs, and reporting. Our work really does go beyond just a call center. We really want to work alongside our stakeholders, the state, our community members, all the folks here, to really help out build that crisis continuum for the state of Nevada. So thank you.
Thank you.
So the coalition, that's really part of what NAMI Nevada is doing, is trying to bring everyone together. One of the primary things that we want is information from you. We want to know what works and what doesn't work in your area. We all know Nevada and all the counties are very different from each other. We can categorize them as rural, frontier, and urban, but the fact is everyone is different. So joining the coalition that meets every couple of months is to us to feed you information about what's going on with 988, but more importantly, is for us to get information to send to the state, to send to Carillon, to make sure we're reacting in the right way. Because bottom line, we want to save lives. And in that process, that policy of doing 988 saves money. As we talked about earlier, the jails won't be as filled, hospitals, your indigent fund won't be hit with charges. These are things that work both financially and personally for the people who are calling in. So we want you to join the coalition, whether it's a director, whether it's a dispatcher, whether it's anyone from this area that has good feedback about what you need. And Charla has a question.
I'm missing some pieces of information. How is this funded?
Well, the funding overall is from a revenue stream on your cell phones that was passed by the state legislature several years ago. And that is how it's funded. So everyone who has a cell phone, there's a little bit of a fee there, similar to the 911 fee, only probably not as high.
It's for landlines as well. It's all phone lines.
Oh, landline also? There you go.
Although,
And so that was
do we know anyone who has one? I don't know, but still.
35 cents monthly.
Yeah, I don't have a landline anymore. But
Actually,
yeah.
my son just got a landline for his kids to
Yeah.
use. Anyway, we digress. Okay, so all of us are supporting this.
Yes.
Okay, so you want our participation strictly because you would like a representative from Douglas to be involved in this work.
Correct, in the coalition itself, and in any other way that we can work together to make sure you're getting the services that you need, through this 988 system.
And I want to add, Robin told me to talk about this, and I almost forgot. We do recognize out in rural areas of Nevada, those resources are very few and far between. The workforce is severely limited, and the state would like to partner with you guys, other rural parts of the state, to try to figure out how we can combat that, how we can get individuals in these areas services close to home so that they're not having to go to the big urban areas.
So if you have anyone here that has someone that you think would be a great voice, and we're not talking about just one person, but people who would be a great voice to getting that information and receiving information from us as 988 gets implemented across the state. So we would love to be working with you, and we have the contact information of the staff person at NAMI Nevada that's coordinating that.
I also have some flyers for the coalition I can give to you guys. You can pass out and keep whatever you want to do with them.
Yes, Commissioner Tolbert.
Okay, so this is actually a topic that I have some real-world experience in. When I worked for the Washoe Tribe and the Hung LLT community, I was trained in suicide intervention. And my next job I went to was working in dispatch, and I received a call that was a suicide crisis. And I went right into intervention mode, and my training officer cut me off and went into getting information about where they were and what was going on. And I'm like, that's not what we're supposed to be doing. And it's like, that is what you're supposed to be doing. So can you run me through your Venn diagram, what happens when somebody calls 988 and they are actually still in crisis and they are not in a safe situation? What happens there? And then reverse that, they call 911 and they need suicide intervention. How does that work? So can you just run me through those two scenarios?
Yeah, so if an individual calls 988 and there is a severe threat to their safety or somebody else's safety, 988, Carillon, CSSNV, they have extremely well-rounded partnerships with those PSAPs or public safety answering points, 911 call centers throughout Nevada. They have backline numbers that they are able to reach out to those 911 centers to essentially transfer the call over to get them the either EMS or law enforcement service that they need in that time of crisis. And I might have Mai speak a little bit more to it. But then also, currently, we do not have the capability for, if somebody calls 911 and 911 deems it to not be a real emergency as they would see, to then transfer that call over to 988. Carillon does have a pilot in Las Vegas with Las Vegas Metro PD, their PSAP currently, where they are starting to implement that, where they have very specific screening protocols that the 911 operators go through to determine that there is no risk to their safety, and then would transfer the call over to a 988 call taker. I think that just started in July, and they have successfully transferred 12 callers from 911 over to 988 without further incident. And then Maya, I'll let you talk a little bit more about it.
You actually said everything that is to be said about it, so.
I didn't forget.
But yeah, no, it's okay. No, that's great. Yeah, so we're working on building out additional partnerships as well to make sure that we can provide that warm handoff. And it is a warm handoff. So if it's a 988 call taker that is doing that handoff to a 911 because there is an imminent danger, they are staying on the line until those services arrive, making sure that everyone is getting the support that they need.
And I imagine that goes both ways, right? Because I don't believe
Yep,
a 911
correct.
operator
Yes,
would
absolutely.
hang up until
Nope.
they
Yep.
know.
There is an understanding that everyone stays online. It's a warm transfer.
Okay.
And I spent some time at that PSAP in Las Vegas over the summer and talked to some 911 call takers down there, and they're actually really excited about trying to have this shift, because then they can focus on true emergencies that are coming into 911 and not having to spend, while it's needed, it's just not the appropriate avenue for somebody who maybe needs a little bit more help, longer conversation on the phone, where 911, you're supposed to get the information, get their location, and get somebody out to get them help. So they're not trying to keep people on the phone there. So yeah, once we're really hoping that partnership with Las Vegas Metro will kind of fan out to the rest of the state. I just saw that Washoe County is working with their PSAP to try to implement similar policy and procedures with the 911 center there. I don't have a lot of information on that. I actually wasn't aware that they were doing that, so I can follow up on that at a later date. And then also, I just want to say, I think it's just this is going to take time. This is a culture shift. People know to call 911. People think anytime anything happens, a cat's in a tree, whatever, you call 911. And so I think it's just going to take a lot of education and understanding of how to kind of shift between the two and when to use either one of those sources.
Okay, so now next one. Douglas County is, like you said, every jurisdiction is different. Our 911 has MOUs where other jurisdictions come through our call center. So, like I said, I was working with Hung LLT, which is over the line in California. Right. However, they're a very big part of this community, and so how is that going to happen when this is a Nevada funded? So if they call from over the line and they have a 530 number, so what, are they going to be rounded to a California one, which is now not going to be connected with our Nevada dispatch center? Is that anything that's been
I think
addressed?
I had this conversation with Sheriff Coverly and Daria Singer a couple months back. I forget, I think we met with the 911 person here. I can't remember her name now. that's something that I think we'll have to just work through. I don't know how that works for you guys with your jurisdiction, if you can can't go out to calls in another county.
Douglas County, we dispatch for Alpine County
Okay.
and the Washoe Tribe. So any 911 call that comes in from any of those jurisdictions goes through our 911 center, and then they get the resources that they need. So I think that if someone in Diamond Valley, which is just across the state line, called 988, I just don't see you guys saying, well, you don't live in Nevada, so we're not going to help you.
To be honest, if they call 988 and they're in California, it's going to go to a California call center.
Okay, so that answers that question.
Yeah, so I think the only issue would be the 911 center transfer. And so you guys would go out to a call if it's in?
Well, we wouldn't, but we
Okay.
would dispatch
To
either
the
Alpine County
appropriate-
Sheriff's
yeah.
Office or the Washoe Tribal Police. Somebody's going to go. So the call coming in, it doesn't really matter where the call comes into, right?
Mhm.
It's, the resources are going to be sent based on
To the
the
appropriate.
agreements and the jurisdiction
Yeah.
and stuff. And so if you call from California to 988, they have their own 988s.
Correct.
Right, so then that's the same with 911. So if you're in Sacramento and you call 911, you don't get us, even
Right.
though your phone is here.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think a lot of the stuff with the dispatching is super complicated. I never in my life thought I would be trying to understand it.
That aspect, I believe, is very, very important. And
Yeah.
I believe, and I'm glad that we brought this conversation up because so many people that live in Douglas County are using, very few are using landlines, but they're transporting their cell phones from other areas that don't share our 775 area, okay? And so, and they're not changing their
Yeah, so
cell
that's
phone numbers.
what-
So as long as there is a 988, as Sheriff Coverly has indicated, in other states, so that have that capability. So as long as they get help, that's what's the critical issue here. It doesn't matter whether or not it's a Nevada person, as long as they're getting help.
And I will also say that in our very original discussions with the state, that's been on our radar of how do we work with the areas that really are on this side of the hill and getting quicker responses. And in fact, when Debbie introduced her staff person from Alpine, I whispered over to Megan, okay, we need her on the coalition because she's part of one of the issues that we're trying to address. So there's no easy fixes, but we want to be made aware of the fixes that are necessary and work toward that.
But I also, Commissioner Gardner, I just want to clarify. So if you say have a 915 area code on your phone, you moved here to Minden, you live in Minden, but you didn't change your area code on your phone. If you're in Minden, it's going to route to Nevada 988. So that's what the geo routing is it's not based off of your area code, it's based off your general location.
That's part of the geolocation.
Yeah, geo-routing.
Geo-routing.
Geo-routing. It's very complicated. It's taken me a long time to understand. And I do want to say, though, that's only with the 3 major cell phone carriers right now. So that's Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T. So some of those lower, I don't even know what they are, but other carriers are not participating in the geo-routing yet. But the intent is that it would all be done that way. I don't believe that chat and text is geo-routed at this moment. That is another thing that is being worked on. I know, as you all know, there's a lot of upheaval at the federal level lately. So kind of just taking things as they come. They had plans and some things got shifted around and we're just kind of going with the flow and seeing how things play out. Any other questions? I do have a couple more slides and then happy to answer any other questions that you guys have. Yeah. And please join the coalition. We welcome everybody. We really want to get different perspectives. This would be perfect, Commissioner Tolbert, for you to come on and talk about your experience when you worked for dispatch and how I'm sure there's other areas in Nevada that experience the same thing. I know my dad lived out in Red Rock, which is you literally cross the California border and then go back into Nevada to get to his house. So it gets really kind of complicated when you're in those like border towns like that. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about 988 specific marketing. We're really working on trying to come up with a 988 logo that speaks to Nevada, that is for Nevada. We don't want to continue to use the federal logo. We want something that speaks to us as Nevadans. We've been working with a local advertising agency, Estepona Group. They've spent countless months doing research, focus groups, surveys, trying to gather as much information from different populations around Nevada to really tailor our marketing approach to Nevadans. We're having some issues with our contract with them right now, but we're really hoping that we will have a 988 brand for Nevada by this fall of 2025. It'll have a toolkit that can be shared out widely. We welcome anybody to use it. And also, there are federal marketing, what does Robin call it, propaganda? If you go on the SAMHSA website, there's the 988 Partner Toolkit. You can order any of their items off of there. They're free to anyone. You don't have to even pay for shipping, and they will send you stickers, magnets, bumper stickers, posters. So if you're ever interested, just go on the SAMHSA website and you can order some of that material there. And then one last slide. I was just trying to think how 988 and Douglas County can partner. We really want to look at aligning our systems, improving outcomes, reducing duplication, and maximizing our resources. So how can 988 support Douglas County in their behavioral health suicide prevention efforts? We don't have to talk
Seems
about
like
it
you
today.
got the right team here to throw that
Yeah.
question out.
So, I mean, we don't have to have a conversation today, but we really do want to work with you guys. I really think it's important to meet people where they're at. Nevada is so different everywhere you go. I'm a native Nevadan, but, you know, Minden is a completely different world to me than from where I am from. So, you know, I think Nevada is, what's the word I'm looking for? We're in an enigma. We've got really large urban areas with people from all over the world. And then we have places like Minden or mining towns, you know, a lot of ranches, farms. So it just runs the gamut. So we really want to make sure that we're having tailored behavioral health help, 988 help that meets people where they're at.
So with all the money collected from the fees, do you consider giving any of that to local suicide prevention or behavioral health, mental health partners?
Currently, the majority of our fee money is already encumbered to pay for the Carillon contract. I do want to emphasize that Carillon is more than just the call center in Southern Nevada. They are our administrative services organization for 988 as a whole. That includes the crisis continuum, mobile response teams, and crisis stabilization centers, warm lines, you know, all the things that go into crisis response. So unfortunately, at this time, there was a lot of significant federal funding cuts. We do have some funding from SAMHSA, which is our federal partner. That amount has decreased. Unfortunately, I don't know at this time if the fees can support funding more things. Take with that what
But
you
I
will.
will also mention that when we asked for the funding in the legislative session several sessions ago, we asked for more than what was approved. No surprise there. I am thrilled they approved the revenue stream. Don't get me wrong. And we all, not just NAMI, but other nonprofits, worked hard to get that revenue stream. And we were one of the few states that did that in the nation. So that's phenomenal. But if we could increase that, and maybe the intent could be to help each individual county. And I would certainly support that.
And I don't have the exact numbers, but so ours is a 35-cent fee per telephone line. Other states, I think Utah in particular, has a really high 988 revenue stream. California, I think their fee's a little bit higher. So when you look at maybe increasing that telecom surcharge fee, then we can look at potentially funding additional things.
Okay, thank you. So what I'd like to do is see if there are any other questions by the board. And I know this is presentation only, but I do think I will open it for public comment since we have a lot of experts in the room who might, we would all benefit from hearing from. Are there any more questions? Commissioner Gardner.
Not a question, really. As Robin indicated, I first heard this presentation at my Nevada Association of Counties Board of Directors meeting a couple months ago, and I thought this was an important thing to basically have a presentation to us, but mainly for our public to see what's going on and what's available to them. And so that's why I'm glad, and I encourage my fellow commissioners in the other 16 counties to also offer an opportunity for you folks to give them the same presentation, because sometimes what we see at the state level or in a meeting of that nature doesn't filter down to the local entities. And so and you tell the story so much better than I could possibly tell in our community. So you're the experts, and I appreciate that. What really struck my interest, I'm always looking to save money, and when you talked about the savings of $3 million to local courts and jail systems, that certainly struck my interest in hopefully reducing the workload over there at the jail and through our court systems of people who have strayed off of course and need this service. So once again, thank you so much for coming and presenting, and I will again encourage my fellow commissioners in the other counties to bring this presentation to them as well, so that their public can be aware of it. So thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Rice?
I have no questions, but doggone, it's good to see you. It's been a while, a long while.
It has been a long while.
Yeah, so this is what happens after the treasurer's office, huh? Okay. We go back a couple of weeks. Anyway, thank you for what you do. This reminds me of my younger days in police work, and people would call in. They had nowhere to go, no one to talk to, and they would call in. They would get some young buck like me, and who's going, "What the hell do I do with this?" And it is wonderful to see the work that both our Christline here in Douglas County as well as, and you guys need to hook up. I know I saw your hand go up there for a bit, and I think that this can make a great coalition. And again, it's great to see you.
I'll just chime in. I really appreciate this, and I think this is important work that you're doing. I do feel like the local approach is really, really critical, and so you've got a dedicated funding source, but our local group does not necessarily have that, and that's why I asked that question, and so I am concerned about that. With that, let's open it to public comment for anyone to come share on this agenda item.
Once again, Debbie Posning. When 988 was first introduced about 2 years ago, all the calls were coming to our office. And we received probably 15 to 20 crisis calls each and every day. So I made sure that I was on the coalition, which I am, and it has worked out so much better. But what we appreciate so much about 988 is Suicide Prevention Network is not a crisis call center in Douglas County. It is not a walk-in crisis office, and yet that happens daily, and it happens from 8 to 5. although we are not there 24 hours. And so we really appreciate 988 because those calls do come in, and many times in the wee hours of the morning. And so it is wonderful because they can talk to a real person. You know, they can have a nice conversation, and many times that call is de-escalated to where that person feels really good about that call. And when we receive clients that come into our office, they say, wow, I don't know what I would have done without 988. So we just appreciate them so much, and that is one reason why I am on that coalition, is to make sure that they hear from Douglas County. Because many times the coalition really focuses on Clark County. It's the bigger county, it's where the more calls come in, it's more, unfortunately, action. So we are doing our very best to take care of most of those crisis calls and walk-ins in our community. But again, we are not 24 hours, and we're not, unfortunately, there even 5 days a week anymore. So, but I appreciate the work that you do. So thank you for letting these girls give a wonderful presentation.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Daria Singer.
Good morning, Daria Singer. I'm the Director of Partnership Douglas County, and we're also involved in the coalition. We kind of meet this, not necessarily on the suicide front, because Debbie does an awesome job on that, but for the behavioral health component, which is a combination between mental health and substance usage. And we receive the MOST grant, which we then use to support the Sheriff's Office in their efforts to have a full-time deputy dedicated to the MOST team, and then partnership supports by helping pay for some of the on-call clinicians that go out. And since we began in 2017, we average about 700 calls for service through 911. And right now, 988 is getting about 12 calls a month from Douglas County. So if we can take that and have more individuals calling 988, getting de-escalated before our sheriff's office has to go out, then they can really focus on those individuals that need someone to respond for those critical incidences. With our MOST team, talking about money saving, over 55% of calls divert individuals from our jail, and 65% divert them from the hospital. So we are already seeing cost savings in Douglas County by connecting people to resources. Partnership also has a newer program called HEART, which is Hope, Empowerment, Assistance, Recovery, and Transformation for Youth. And we are working also on the youth front. So working on getting our students 18 and younger connected to services prior to an actual crisis occurs. But the biggest thing is obviously funding. Partnership doesn't have funding necessarily for the marketing of 988, but we have bought several materials that we've given to the Sheriff's Office so their deputies can promote 988 more. And we're doing some campaigns on our own until the state is done, just on our own dollars so we can get that. And then with HEART, we really need a place to send individuals. It's great when we can respond, but really our options sometimes are just the jail because there's no other service open late at night that's willing to take someone, especially if they are intoxicated with a substance in their system. They usually have to get medically cleared. So looking at building more local resources so we're not having to send individuals out of the county for treatment will in the end save us money and provide better prevention. Thank you.
Thank you for adding that.
And I just want to add, we do help fund Daria's MOST and HEART team. So there is some funding coming in locally for that program.
James McCallum. Just watching this, it's a great presentation. Thank you for being here. It occurs to me that we're, and I saw one of your screens said marketing. There are other 3-digit services out there now that do a variety of things. And just a thought, asking cell phone companies to include something in bills, inserts, that just would market your services more so people could become aware. Because people might think, hey, I think there's a 988, but I'm confused with the one that tells you if you're going to dig in your backyard.
Right, 311, 211, 411, like there's
Yeah, so that more people would know what it is, because I think it's a great service. Thank you.
It's a great idea, thank you.
Brooke 80 Community Services Director. I would like to add what our county's involvement is with all of these different services that are being provided. So when we're talking about MOST, our Mobile Outreach Safety Team, we do partner with the Sheriff's Department and Partnership Douglas County, and we have licensed social workers that provide case management services as a follow-up to a MOST call. So we are pretty involved in those services as well. And then we also oversee the One Nevada opioid funding, and so we subgrant that out to different community providers to do a lot of the services that are being discussed as well.
Thank you. Welcome from Alpine County.
Yes. Hello. I just wanted to thank Nathan, of course. Sorry. Commissioner Tolbert. Is it on? It's not on?
It's like it's censored.
Hi, Christy Van. I am representing with Suicide Prevention Network now, but it's kind of more like not exactly related to that part right now. I've been a longtime resident of Alpine County. I've lived there a majority of my life. And I appreciate that you had mentioned Alpine County because our county, all of our resources and stuff like that, majority of it come down here to Minden, Douglas area, because Tahoe, winters, not everybody can get over the mountain pass. We're always sent to Sacramento, Placerville, and everything, but all of our stuff's pretty much here. We shop here. Our children, when they join sports in Douglas County, it's down here. Alpine County doesn't have a high school, so we either choose, I guess they had somewhat in the recent years started to send more up to Tahoe, but not very many people are taking that route. They're still choosing to come down here because Douglas and Minden are in our lives. Just like we live in Alpine. We spend as much time in Alpine as we do down here in the valley. If our jobs, a lot of them are down here. We don't have very many job offers up there, so everything does come down here. So we are part of this community in a way, and just knowing that all of our calls do come to this down here. Utilizing that service myself, for family issues and emergency calls, they all come down here. We don't ever really talk to anyone for the Washoe Tribe unless you actually know that number, their direct number, but still, they're only 8 to 5. Alpine County has no mobile anything up there. I mean, as me and my coworker, Amy, were putting a presentation together, we realized that we have no mobile anything. We have our Alpine County Behavioral Health, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. We have somewhat access depending on our Washoe Tribe Healing Center, which is 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. And then the emergency services that are down here don't really go on to tribal land. So that's a whole different issue, So it's just like, I appreciate the fact that you mentioned that we're also part of this, and our emergency are you guys, down here. That's closest to us. And they're the only ones that come up to us, We don't get South Lake Tahoe coming down to our emergencies, our EMTs and everything all come from down here. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll close public comment and we want to thank you for coming and for you from Carillon and for all of you who are here. And we appreciate the really, really important work that you're doing.
And I just want to say thank you one last time for allowing us to come and speak to you guys. And I do want to say, yes, this is my job, but it's also something that's extremely personal. I lost my younger sibling to suicide about 7 years ago. So in a way, it's a tragedy, but I wanted to make something positive out of that tragedy. And I just hope that, we can help other individuals that need that, where my sister did not have that help at that time. So thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll take a 5-minute break. And we will reconvene at 11:25.
Hoss. Big Hoss. You know, he's got to have one of those Hoss hats, right? Cowboy hats. I think last time they went to the restaurant. Yeah, okay. But this item is going to take but 2 minutes, honestly. So.
Agenda item J from the consent agenda for possible action, discussion to approve a $4,318,300 construction contract with Resource Development Company LLC for the Mountain View Tank Replacement Project. Authorize the county manager or public works director to execute the contract and change orders up to 5% of the original contract price, and approve Resolution 2025R-081 to augment Project 23W01 budget in the amount of $685,000 from capital reserves to capital outlay. We have with us Rick Robillard, Deputy Public Works Director, and we have Phil Ricker, the Public Works Director.
Madam Chair, may I preface this item?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. So apparently by pulling this item, I caused a five alarm fire. Okay, and my apologies, Mr. Robillard and Mr. Richter, for pulling you off of your desks in important work I'm sure you're doing other than this item. So I apologize for that. I didn't realize a former commissioner that I served with on the NACO board, a former commissioner from Washoe, was involved with this item and happens to be here today. And I wanted to have the opportunity to recognize him. And by passing an item like this in a consent calendar, didn't give me that opportunity. So I didn't realize it when we were even discussing it, or I would have warned staff of that. So anyways, with that, I'd like to introduce a previous fellow commissioner from Washoe County, Bob Lucy. Bob, you want to stand up, please? And a previous 4 years ago, president of the Nevada Association of Counties, when I basically first became a commissioner. So anyways, welcome and thank you for joining us down here. As you indicated, we failed to see you when you were president of NACO and making your rounds. You didn't somehow get to our neighborhood, but anyways.
You can comment during public comment.
Yeah, I'll let staff, I was just standing up here waiting.
Yeah, but otherwise, I don't have any real concerns about this project. It needs to be done. And once again, my apologies to our county manager and to Mr. Robillard and Mr. Richter. I appreciate you coming over and saying hello to us, okay? So.
Would you like to just spend a minute describing what this is?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Commissioners, Rick Robillard, Deputy Director, Public Works. I'll just provide a brief overview of the project for the audience. The Mountain View tank is the tank that's located at the end of Icky up on Hot Springs Mountain. If you look to the east, that tank is a bolted steel tank that's reached its useful life. Through a preliminary design report in engineering, Public Works Engineering, we evaluated feasible alternatives for tank replacement, including rehab. Rehab becomes very difficult when you take storage capacity offline, so you don't have the adequate fire protection and storage capacity for the residents of East Valley. So through the preliminary design report, the feasible alternative looked at 2 tanks to increase capacity. We will build 1 tank, put that into service, demo the existing tank, and build another additional tank. Now that provides us long-term redundancy in the future to be able to do maintenance and rehab by being able to take 1 tank offline and still have adequate storage capacity for fire flow. So that this project was publicly bid, and the apparent responsible bidder was RDC at $4.3 million approximately. So that's the overview.
That was perfect. Thank you very much. All right, are there any questions from the commissioners? Commissioner Tolbert.
So I'm very familiar with this tank as it went in at the time I moved here, and we helped clean the road to get up there by pulling rocks and putting them down in our yard for landscaping, which is probably illegal, but we did it anyway, but it got them off the roads going up that hill. But I think in the one thing we had the question, I think we called you during the meetings one-on-one, so just want to make sure and get clarified on the record that in the contract, it specifies quantity 1, but that quantity 1 is for the entire scope, not number of tanks. That we are actually, just want to make sure that that's clarified and on the record that we are, everything is on the up and up. We are getting 2 tanks for this and not just the 1. So,
Thank you, Commissioner. You're correct. That quantity 1 is a lump sum bid item, which includes everything within the project specifications and the plan set, which includes 2 tanks. Yes.
All right, with that, we'll go to public comment. Mr. Lucy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the opportunity. Madam Chair, Vice Chairman Gardner, Commissioner Rice, Commissioner Tolbert, Commissioner Tartanian, it's an honor to be in front of you today. As a former county commissioner of Washoe County and chairman, I understand how difficult local work and how important local work can be. And to sit in these chambers, being that it's been about 3 years since I've done something of this nature, it's an honor to be in front of you today. I want to first thank you all for taking the time to really take this issue and pull it out of consent. I know sometimes it can throw staff a curveball, not anticipating that, but it is important, and it is an extremely high value for the county in regards to a $4 million tank. But not only did I serve as a Washoe County Commissioner, I served for Governor Lombardo and his administration as a state infrastructure coordinator for 1.5 years. And infrastructure is a big part of who I am and what I like to endure. And from that standpoint, resource development companies and what their locality and how we are a growing state, especially we heard the presentation earlier, and I think that Douglas County is doing a tremendous job being progressive and trying to address the issues that are oncoming consistently from new residents moving into the community and making sure that your infrastructure is up to par with those needs. And I know Commissioner Gardner and I spent time together, especially on the NACO board during one of your last fires about 4.5 years ago, that was very detrimental to our region. And that kind of infrastructure is not only paramount to the protection of our communities, but also necessary for us to continue to grow and be able to provide for our citizens. So with that being said, I'm joined today by Chris Erb with RDC and Brianna from RDC. We want to thank you for your consideration and your and staff's recommendation for approving our bid. We are a local company, regional company. We want to continue to work, and I think it's important that Nevadans continue to serve Nevadans, because it's important that, as we've talked about in border towns, that we have that local understanding and that you have somebody that you can call directly on the phone and get if you need questions and answers. I know Commissioner Rice and I have had those conversations before. It's important that we have those type of relationships. So I will be here to represent and take any questions, but I appreciate your time today, and thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment on this issue? Seeing none, I'll come back to the board for a motion.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
It takes a great pleasure to move to approve a $4,318,300 construction contract with Resource Development Company, LLC, for the Mountain View Tank Replacement Project, and authorize county manager or public works director to execute the contract and change orders up to 5% of the original contract price, and approve Resolution 2025R-081 to augment Project 23W01 budget in the amount of $685,000 from capital reserves to capital outlay as presented.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Gardner, seconded by Commissioner Tolbert. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you for coming over.
Moving to agenda item 12 for possible action. 1, discussion to accept a grant from the Land and Water Conservation Fund for the construction of an inclusive playground at Stodic Park. 2, discussion to approve a $521,889.92 joined your contract through Omnia Partners Public Sector, a cooperative purchasing organization between Douglas County and Playcore Wisconsin, Inc., and authorize the Community Services Director to execute the necessary documents and change orders up to 10% of the total amount. 3, discussion to approve Resolution 2025R-080, augmenting the residential construction tax budget by decreasing the budget in the Central County Reserve Account 420-440-625.600 by $232,000 and $232,380 and increasing the budget in the Parks Improvement Account, which is 420-440-563.301 by the same amount. And 4, authorize the Community Services Director to allocate additional residential construction tax within the Central County as it becomes available to fund the project. This is an exciting project, and we welcome you, Brooke Ady, our Community Services Director, to describe it.
Okay, thank you, Brooke Ady, Community Services Director. We're really excited to be before you today to talk about this project. It is going to be such an asset to our community. And so I'm going to introduce Ryan Stanton, and he's going to talk about the project, and then we'll be happy to answer questions at the end. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Again, Ryan Stanton, Deputy Director, Community Services. Thank you for your time this morning. Here to present regarding the Stoddard Park Inclusive Playground Project. This project was prioritized by our Park and Rec Advisory Board, as well as the Board of County Commissioners in our fiscal year 25-26 that we're currently in. We were awarded the Land Water Conservation Fund funding for this project. It's a 50-50 match between Douglas County and Land Water Conservation. The funding for this project comes from room tax as well as residential construction tax. This is an awesome opportunity to better serve our residents, including children and adults with physical and cognitive and sensory disabilities. Through our Park and Rec Advisory Board, we connected with persons with disabilities to prioritize the best location within our community and what facility would better suit this type of playground. So we, as a community services, brought 2 different sites forward to our advisory board, and then here we are presenting today for ultimate approval of Stoddard Park. We brought an opportunity to do a playground of this nature at Aspen Park, and the amenities needed to closely take care of persons with disabilities is obviously parking, accessibility, restrooms, things like that. Stoddard Park, the parking is literally right there. It's right next to the playground, and the bathroom is within walking distance. Aspen Park, parking's a little bit further away as well as the restroom. So we prioritized, again, through our Park and Rec Advisory Board, as well as engaging with persons with disabilities of what that ultimate location would be, and we came up with Stoddard Park. We've worked with also Game Time, Great Western Recreation, for the different renderings of those 2 locations. And on the next slide, I believe, maybe it's the following slide after that, I can show you guys the renderings of what the playground's actually going to look like. But also, I wanted to really hit this one home with the National Demonstration Site. Stoddard Park will be considered a national demonstration site. Benefits promote accessibility, enhance community well-being, support families, increase park value, strengthen community identity. A national demonstration site serves and models communities, showcasing best practice in inclusive play and recreation and collecting data to demonstrate the impact of these spaces on community and well-being. The research that I've done with national demonstration sites that fit that criteria that you see on the screen proud to say that Gardnerville, Nevada will be the very first national demonstration site in the state of Nevada. I don't have it on the slide, but I do have a map to share with everybody. This is kind of a pinpoint of all the different areas within the United States. The closest one that I found was Mammoth and Sacramento. So very, very proud of our county and as well as community services to be that first national demonstration site in the state of Nevada. So very, very excited about that. This next slide here is a rendering of the playground that will be installed ultimately. The existing playground will be removed and disposed of. We've had several different folks reach out, hey, can we reuse this? Can we install it somewhere else? Due to liability concerns and issues, we have to unfortunately dispose of it. It goes to the landfill and goes away forever. So the items on the left-hand side are different items that you'll find within the playground itself. And also, the existing blueprint of the playground as it sits now will become a little bit bigger. So on the side where you see, I think it would be on the upper part of the screen, that side kind of closest to the football field will be blown out. So the actual blueprint will be bigger than what you see today. The next slide has some more renderings, and also part of this was bringing in some additional shade for the folks that are going to be visiting this facility. Right now there's limited shade, and we felt that it was very important to take care of the folks that are going to be visiting the site. Again, more renderings. We're doing a pour-in-place surfacing, which is state-of-the-art surfacing and makes it very accessible with persons with disabilities. We do have FIBAR material, which is like a wood chip material in some of our other playgrounds, and it can be a bit of a challenge at times for persons with disabilities to get around. So this will be a pour-in-place surfacing similar to Johnson Lane swing set. We did a pour-in-place surfacing at Kale Community Center, our 2 to 5 playground, and then also some of the folks that live down here in the valley, probably familiar with Ironwood Park, where they've done pour-in-place surfacing as well. So again, more renderings. There's different chime sensory toys. The swing set will be able to accommodate, again, those folks with disabilities.
I have a question about, since you're talking about, if I may.
Yes.
Mr. Stanton, on those swings, is there any kind of bar that comes down, or are they slanted angled so deeply that no one would fall out? On the green slide, I mean swings.
That's a great question. I want to say that there's probably some type of strap or something that would kind of buckle them in, but I can research that and get back to you for sure.
Just being the grandma eye here.
Understood. I've got a 6-year-old twins, so I get it. And then lastly, this purchase is being made through a cooperative purchasing agreement with Omnia Partners, and requesting approval to join into contract with Omnia between Douglas County and Playcore, Wisconsin. We've brought before you guys several similar projects, specifically playground projects, where we've utilized these partners in these purchases. And again, this is a turnkey project. The $521,000 that you see before you is the purchase of the equipment, the pour-in-place servicing, and the installation. And if all goes to plan, we would like to try to purchase shortly after this meeting, if approved, and then hit the ground running probably next calendar year. So thank you for your time. Any questions?
Commissioner Gardner.
No questions, really. I really appreciate what you're bringing to us. I can, I'm going to date myself here, but I can remember when playground equipment was much less expensive. And a lot of times, community service organizations, Rotary clubs, Kiwanis clubs, Lions clubs, Junior Chamber clubs, all participated in creating community parks, but we've gotten way beyond that ability any longer with the requirements and the necessary amenities. So whenever we can form a partnership of this nature, that helps us in bringing these amenities to our community. So I really appreciate work on this, and I think it's going to be. And I appreciate, you're coming before us, Mr. Stanton, and I appreciate that word, if approved. I like. So it still has to come to a vote, right? So yeah. Anyways, thank you,
Commissioner Tolbert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't know how you guys got into my closet and saw all the hats that I've worn in my past, but I spent 5 years in the accessibility industry, as you know. So this one is really very important to me. And what I'm mostly concerned about with this is the surfacing, and that we maintain, especially if we're going to be, the national, whatever you said it was, like a demonstration site, because a lot of surfaces are compliant at installation if they're done per the manufacturer's specifications, because the ASTM references that they provide are done in a lab. So thankfully, we here in Douglas County have one of the members of the Access Board's coalition, or whatever they called it, that he actually wrote the guidelines. It was one of the members of the team that wrote those guidelines in Douglas County. So they sent me a little information about, hey, make sure you bring this up. And so to be compliant on those surfaces, they have to be inspected and maintained frequently to ensure continued compliance, because even with the port in place, the sun will make those crispy, and so they will lose their compliance over time. So I would like to recommend or ask that we follow through on that, and at the same time as we get these installed, going to double check that Omni is actually doing the installation, so they'll be following all those manufacturer's guidelines to ensure that it's compliant when it's done. But we have the initial testing also with the instrumented surface indenter or rotational penetrometer that can be field tested, and then you can use that over and over again every year, 6 months or a year, and we set something up with that we can actually demonstrate that our surfaces are compliant. It's important not just for the indentation and the softness of the surface for so no concussion should anybody fall, but it's also important that we maintain stability, surface stability, so that people with a wheelchair, people with a mobility device are able to still traverse it. Because like you mentioned, wood chips are great when they're installed, but as soon as the wind blows or the first rain comes in, their compaction changes, and now their firmness and stability are compromised. So I know we have several surfaces proposed in there. I saw with turf and the poured surface, as well as I think there was a wood chip section also. So I would like to see, as part of this project, that we include a contract with somebody, whether it's the local guy or not, to perform this testing periodically on a regular state, because they warranty it for 10 years. So it would be nice to keep that up, and that way, since we are going to be in the shut me down. I've been reined in. So yeah, so that as part of this, I'd like to see us, my personal recommendation is that we follow this up with some kind of a contract where we can monitor those. And I know that the Parks Department has worked with this company, so I don't want, in the past, so I know there's precedent with that. But whether, like I said, whether it's them or anybody else that has the ability to do that, that would be my personal addition to what we're doing here.
Thank you.
That was it.
Very good. Commissioner Rice.
Here's where I get in trouble. No teeter-totters? How are you going to jump out and let the other guy? Never mind.
Okay. I will say that I want to take a moment to thank the Parks and Rec Board I know there are people who have great passion on that board who have been committed to this project and are seeing it through. I don't know what you have planned eventually for an opening. It might be nice to have a period of time when it's exclusive for kids with special needs. If that could possibly happen, I don't know. But I'm very, very excited to see this and appreciate the hard work that's been done by everyone to get it there. We will go to public comment on this agenda item now. Mr. Dove?
For the record, my name is Gary Dove, and I am here not as a Park and Rec Advisory Board member, but an active one. I want to give a little backstory to this whole project, if I may. As you know, I brought Action Club, Kiwanis Action Club, into this community. It's hard to believe it'll be 10 years September, this October, they'll have their 10th anniversary of their installation. Because of Action Club, if you look now what's going on in this community for adults, we have Expandable Horizon in here, and the prom, which is the leadership class of 4 years ago. They're having their fourth. Every one of these organizations are now a 501c3 to help with the adults with developmental disabilities. September 2019, because of my involvement with Action Club, 5 years earlier, I wouldn't even thought of it. There was a letter written, and the person that really should have this credit on this is, her name is Anita Everts. She wrote a letter to the editor in September 2019, and the headline is Playground for Disabled Children Needed. She speaks to how highly our community parks are, the beautification of them, but what's lacking is an ADA park for children. I took that to heart, and I will tell this in the public, if you want something to happen in this community, you got to stay on top of it. But I want to also thank all the previous board members and our current board members to allow me to get this into our capital improvement program at that time, and it's taken 6 years to go through the process. And because of that, we have a beautiful, what's going to become a beautiful park in our community. And I can't think of a better place than Stoddard Park having this. So thank you for making this happen as far as the commission. Staff has done a wonderful job, and I can tell you that they have gone out of their way. And to get this grant of half this, all that's going to do is take that money that we're going to spend anyway and put it towards something else that's going to help benefit this community. So with that, there's so many people involved in this, but the real credit goes to this lady. And I'm really hoping somehow we can find her, because you talked about the grand opening. She needs to be there to see that her words did matter. And by the way, we will have Action Club members. I was hoping to have them here today, but that's going to be very hard to do because not knowing the time frame. But they were excited when we had our meeting Tuesday night that this is going to be happening. So again, on behalf of myself, Kiwanis, and Park and Rec, thank you. And please accept the donation, okay? The grant.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jackson.
Jim Jackson. I think the idea of the park's a great idea. I've seen one similar to this where I came from in Southern California. Rancho Cucamonga had built a huge equestrian center, park, baseball fields, soccer fields, and a huge, huge playground similar to this. 1 year later, they tore it down because it couldn't pass inspection. So your comments struck home because this was a beautiful park and they just let it go. And all the surfaces and everything failed inspection, and they outlawed it from any kids using it. So that's something that needs to be paid close attention to. And now down there, I was at an altitude of 1,200 feet. So we didn't have the UV rays, the high altitude that we have here at 5,000 feet. So it's something to really take consideration of. And if it's going to be a national demonstration area, you want to make sure that we've done it right. The other thing, and again, this comes back to what I always harp on, is the county spends a lot of money doing projects like this. And yes, I know it all comes from sources that you can't use for anything else. Very true. But the perception on the part of us out there is that you're spending money on a movie theater, on bleachers, on the park, and all this, and you don't have any money to spend on the roads that are absolutely falling apart. People look at that and they say, what in the world is going on? So my advice to you is to do a better job of communicating to us on why you can spend this money and not have it harm the rest of us on not getting good roads. Because that comes up every time I see one of these in a newspaper comes up. Everybody starts clamoring on it. Why are they spending money on that? When we saw in the budget process, they said they had no money left over for anything after they paid all their bills. So that's what's kind of going on out there. And with the condition of the roads up there in my neck of the woods, you know what I'm talking about, it's getting worse and worse and worse. My wife sent me a text the other day with a character out of the Disney movie Cars of an old jalopy going down the road, bouncing all over the place. Well, that's what that road's like. So if you plan on saying, we'll raise some taxes, and you say people always vote them down, it's because we seem to vote for taxes, and then the money doesn't get spent on what we thought it was going to get spent on and everything. But this park here, I think, is a good idea. I think that's a good area for it to go in. Just be very cautious on the lifespan of it. So
Thank you. Appreciate that. I just have to respond with one point that I don't think anybody has ever seen in the past decade money spent that was collected for one thing and spent on another. So I just don't want to let that comment of yours go unresponded.
it's perception. It's perception is reality. So.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other public comment? I'll close public comment and ask for a motion. Commissioner Gardner.
Thank you. And I did want to respond to that as well. The part of this is allocation of additional residential construction tax within the Central County as it becomes available to fund the project. What I'd like to mention on that is that is covered in Nevada revised statutes, okay? And what we do, and you're right, Mr. Jackson, the public perception, and we're not doing a good enough job of communicating that. I did that at the Douglas County Republican Women in a talk yesterday, okay? Every developer that builds a home has to pay into a fund the residential construction tax. It's not a tax really. It is a $1,000 fee that we tack on to new construction of developers. And it's allocated in 3 different areas within our county: South County, Central, including the Tahoe Basin, 4, okay? So South County, Central County, and North County, and the Tahoe Basin, okay? If we don't spend it in that manner, we have to return that money to the developer. So that's very important for us to spend this money in that regards, okay? Because I don't want to return it to a developer who paid into that fund and then we didn't use it. So that's where these funds, some of these funds are coming from, and I think that's very important that we communicate that to the residents also. So with that being said, if my fellow commissioners don't have anything else to add, I would like to make a motion. Are we good with that?
I will note that I've been informed that Commissioner Tarkanian has left the meeting, so it's the 4 of us who will be voting on this.
Okay. So it doesn't change the quorum necessary. Right, okay. So at this time then, I move that we accept, and I'm going to read the recommendation motion in the agenda item here. At this time, I move to accept a grant from the Land and Water Conservation Fund for the construction of an inclusive playground at Stoddard Park. Approve a $521,889.92 joinder contract between Douglas County and Playcore Wisconsin Incorporated as presented, and authorize the Community Services Director to execute the necessary documents and change orders up to 10% of the total amount, approve Resolution 2025R-080, and authorize the Community Services Director to allocate additional residential construction tax within the county, Central County, as it becomes available to fund the project as presented.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Gardner, seconded by Commissioner Tolbert, that we approve this project. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Well done. Good work.
Thank you all.
We'll look forward to some kind of celebration. Yeah. We'll move to agenda item 13 for presentation only. Presentation on the 2026 Federal Housing and Urban Development Community Development Block Grant Program to include a summary of potential projects and outreach to the community for the 2026 grant cycle. We have with us Linda Doherty, Assistant Planner.
Okay, we're good? Okay. Hello, Madam Chair, Commissioners, and everyone in attendance. For the record, I'm Linda Doherty, Assistant Planner in Community Development. I'm here to give just a brief presentation on the CDBG program. As you may or may not know, CDBG stands for Community Development Block Grant. Through the CDBG program, HUD provides grants on a formula basis to over 1,200 general units of local governments and states. CDBG's entitlement program allocates annual grants directly to larger cities with populations of 50,000 or more and urban counties with 200,000 or more. Smaller cities and counties, like Douglas County, are referred to as non-entitlement cities or counties, and that's why we're here today. Grants are available on a competitive basis and are awarded based on priorities and criteria developed by the state. This year, the state's priority is for projects focused on infrastructure. It doesn't mean they will deny other projects, but infrastructure is their priority. Oh. Let's see. This one. Thank you. Actually, yeah, good. It doesn't format right. Okay. No, you're good. Thank you for doing that. Okay, thank you. Okay, so to qualify, applicants must meet at least one of HUD's national objectives. So the first one is to benefit low to moderate income households. This is also a primary goal for the state. The second one is—
Ms. Doherty, could you perhaps speak a little bit closer into the microphone? So,
there we
thank
go,
you.
sorry about that. The second one is aid in the elimination of slums or blight. And the third is to meet a community development need that has an urgent nature to it. So approximately $2.8 million is being allocated to the state of Nevada for the 2026 cycle. This money is for all 26 Nevada rural counties to compete for. And then I'm going to go to right here. Oops, I'm sorry. As you can see on page 365 of your packet, Douglas County has received funding for a number of projects over the years. The last project that received CDBG funding was in 2022 for the food closet. As a non-entitlement county, Douglas County is eligible to apply for CDBG funding. The county may submit 2 applications for the general competitive pool of funding and may also sponsor 2 additional applications. Right now, we just have 1 application requested, and that's from the Topaz Ranch Estates General Improvement District. They are seeking funds to improve their system and also possibly build a structure that will contain an office, bathroom, and employee break room. I want to note that applicants may or may not get full funding of their project. There's a committee that will decide based on a lot of factors, what other projects they'd like to see move forward, how much money is available, that kind of thing. So deadlines are included in your packet, and I don't need to go all over them today. I don't want to bore you to tears. But the next one coming up is September 30th, so it's coming up quickly. This is the deadline for a document, it's a spreadsheet, that's called the Job Matrix. And this is something that the applicants fill out. They put job titles and wages for those that will be employed to do the necessary work. And that has to get sent to me, and then I send it to the state. And that's a hard deadline. If that deadline's missed, then an application won't be able to move forward to determine if it's eligible or not. So that's a big one. And I keep saying state, and it's actually the Governor's Office of Economic Development, which we call GOED. And the next deadline after that is a big deal. It's October 17th. And that is the deadline for applications to be submitted. And again, the applicants need to go through me to submit it to the state. This deadline is only to determine eligibility. So if a project's deemed eligible to proceed, then we should get notification, late October or so. Also, I want to mention once an application is submitted, it cannot be changed. So the applicants can go in and out of the application and make changes, but once it's submitted, no further changes will be allowed. And also, when an application will come the October 17th deadline, that's a hard deadline. The state has said absolutely no exceptions. Nothing can be submitted after October 17th. So that's a big one. So if a project is deemed eligible, an applicant can continue with all of the requirements of the applications. And there's lots of documents that will be required. One of the things that will likely be required is some sort of environmental impact study. And I only mention this because those can take some time. So it's just kind of a note to applicants to get on that once they're deemed eligible. The final full application package must be submitted in February 2026. So it's even though it's next year, these dates are coming up quick. Let's see. I've included a document called the CDBG method of distribution in your packet. We've gone over a lot of that information already, but it does have helpful information on how applications are funded. So I encourage anyone that's interested in submitting an application to look at that information, because the high score wins at the end of the day. Let's see. I'd like to give some big kudos to Debbie Swickert at this moment. She's our Douglas County Grants Administrator. She's so knowledgeable about this program, and she's been a big help to me personally. So thank you, Debbie. On page 366 of the packet, there is helpful links for information and some contact information, but I would request that anybody that has any questions reach out to me first, and then I can either answer the question or, get to the right person that can answer the question. So I appreciate that. I guess this concludes my presentation. Does anybody have any questions?
So since you're as a county employee facilitating this, can the county itself request, put in an application also?
Yes.
Or does it have to come from another entity inside the county
No, it
through
can
the
come
county?
directly from us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? I have one.
Yes.
I'm wondering if we have sent this information to any of the GIDs.
Not specifically. We did have for our first public meeting was July 21st, and we did put a notice in the newspaper and a press release on our county website.
Do you expect to have more than just the one?
There is a remote possibility for Kings Lane. They are trying to get some information together to improve their sewer, but other than that, that's really it. And I did reach out to folks that were interested last year, and I haven't.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody has.
It's a lot of work to do this with no guarantee of success.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Any other? With no other questions, this is a presentation item, so we won't take public comment on it. But thank you very much, Ms. Doherty, for being here and sharing that with us.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you guys.
Hopefully, this will be one more way that people can hear about it, and if they're eligible,
Oh, yes, and I
Take
should
a run
mention,
at it.
Yeah, I should mention, if we have a project that is deemed eligible, then I'll be coming back to see you all on December 4th. And that's when you'll review the projects and rank them,
Sounds
assuming
good.
there's more than one.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Agenda item 14 for possible action, discussion to adopt ordinance 2025-1658, amending Douglas County Code, Chapter 3.50, surcharge for enhancement or improvement of telephone system used for reporting emergency, increasing the membership of the Douglas County 911 Surcharge Advisory Committee from 5 to 7 members. This is second reading. We have with us Brent Finster, Emergency Communications Manager, and Carrie Easton, our Emergency Manager. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. Do you have any questions on this item?
No, I do not have questions. Are there any? Seeing none, we'll go to public comment. Is there any public comment on this matter? All right. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, this is probably the easiest item ever, so can the rest be like this?
Yep, very good. All right, is there a motion? Commissioner Rice.
I have no questions, but this puts us in compliance with state law. Is that correct? That's the whole reason for this.
Yes, that is correct.
I'm not going to be a smart aleck. Okay, thank you. I move that we adopt ordinance 2025-1658 as presented based on the recommendation of the 911 Surcharge Committee and discussion of the county commissioners.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Rice and seconded by Commissioner Gardner. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Yes.
Sorry to bother you for 15 minutes, right?
Agenda item 15.1 for possible action, discussion to approve Douglas County's nomination of a lay member to the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency, TRPA Advisory Planning Commission for a 2-year term effective August 2025 through August 2027 in accordance with the TRPA bi-state compact. We have one applicant for this open position, and I want to thank Garth Alling. You don't have to get up yet because we're going to have County Manager Jennifer Davidson. But first, I just wanted to thank you for being patient as we worked our way through several agenda items. All right, and we'll turn this over to Jennifer Davidson, County Manager.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the Commission. Jennifer Davidson, County Manager for the record, and I do apologize. Normally, I would go up to the podium up there, but I don't want to spread my germs all over this room today, so I'll leave a clean microphone for Mr. Alling if he wants to approach. We do have a anticipated opening for this Advisory Planning Commission seat. We, as part of past practice do look at this position every 2 years. It is for a 2-year term. And we make a recommendation to TRPA for a formal appointment. So that is the process we are asking the commission to consider today. We did advertise this position in both the Valley newspaper and extended the timeline for advertisement to include advertisement in the Lake newspaper as well, in case we had individuals at the Lake who were interested. We received no other applications, and Mr. Alling has expressed his interest in continuing in his position. He is available to speak with you today if you have specific questions for him. County staff see no reason why he shouldn't continue as nominee, but that's up to the board to vet his application. So with that, I'll turn it over to the commission for your questions at this time.
I think I'd like to start by offering you, Mr. Alling, a moment to share any perspective you have coming to this work, or maybe anything about your experience having done it.
Sure. Yeah, Garth Alling for the record. I've been sitting on the Advisory Planning Commission for the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency since 2017, and I take great pride in participating in the TRPA process. Being a lifelong resident of the lake, I find it extremely important to protect the environment and the economy that we have there in Lake Tahoe. And so being able to sit on the APC and use my expertise to review the science and the technical aspects of the different documents and things that come through the APC, it makes me very happy to do that. And I think it should be noted, some people get confused with the role of the Advisory Planning Commission. It is only to review and then to advise the governing board. There's no decision-making that the APC does. We just review the documentation and then provide our recommendation to the governing board, which Commissioner Rice sits on, and the final decisions are at that level. So we're one step below. We do a lot of the nitty-gritty and reviewing all the different documentation and everything else. So I'm available for any questions if you'd like.
Commissioner Rice.
As a member of the governing board, thank you for what you do. They take a lot of verbal abuse, along with the comments from several people in the community, some of which we will never, ever be able to please. And you put yourself out there on the line, and I appreciate what you've been doing for the TRPA and for the Lake in general. So thank you.
You're more than welcome. Thank you.
Commissioner Gardner.
Thank you. I as well appreciate your activity in volunteer public service. You know, I don't know if most people realize that this is a volunteer activity.
It very much is, yes.
And I appreciate you talking specifically about identifying those two areas, environment and economy, because both are extremely important to the Tahoe Basin. Protecting that natural beauty, at the same point in time, ensuring that we continue to have a thriving economy up there. So I know that's a fine balancing act. Commissioner Rice alluded to a teeter-totter and earlier, and it is a teeter-totter, is it not?
It absolutely
in
is,
trying to keep it level, respecting the environmental requirements as well as trying to have a thriving economy. So I appreciate that and appreciate what the difficulty in serving in that capacity. So thank you.
You're more than welcome.
I have a comment and a question.
Sure.
So my comment is you are obviously going to be appointed to use your own discretion, and your expertise that you've built up in your background and your knowledge from being a lifelong community member of the Tahoe Basin. And I appreciate that. I also know that we have staff who work on things that are brought to the TRPA, and we also have, as you've noted, Commissioner Rice. And so my comment would be, without compromising your own independent judgment, I would suggest good dialogue, both with staff and with Commissioner Rice, so that we have, so that everyone has the benefit of everyone else's perspective as we work through things prior to decisions.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I think there are some opportunities, of enhanced communication between myself and staff, and with Commissioner Rice on certain projects. One thing that I should note is, one of the big projects that's coming down the line is the Barton Hospital, the proposed Barton Hospital at the old casino site there, Lakeside Inn Casino, right there on Kale Drive. And in my application, it stated at the bottom if there would be any, if there's any chance that I would have some conflicts. And due to the nature of the work that I do, I'm a wildlife biologist and an ecologist, and I do a lot of work on technical environmental documents, such as the one that is being prepared currently for the Barton Hospital, for that proposed Barton Hospital project. I was asked to participate in that analysis, and I refused to participate in that analysis because I thought it was more important that I use my seat on the APC to review the documents that come forward, and I wouldn't have to recuse myself. So I know that there's big projects that are coming down the line, and I look forward to communicating more with you, Commissioner Rice, and also with staff before these large projects actually come to us, and before we we advise the TRPA Governing Board.
Thank you. That segues right into my next question, which is knowing that this big project is coming. I guess I'll preface it by saying there are some members of the community who have accused us of already making up our minds and having backroom deals, and I have seen none of that. And I want to give you this opportunity to share with us and on the public record your ability to keep an open mind on this project and all projects.
Yeah, no, absolutely. My role is to review the document, the environmental impact statement that's currently being prepared for the Barton Hospital project. It will come to the APC, and it's my job to review it for technical and scientific adequacy. And so as a scientist, I have to remain objective. And I wholly plan on doing so. Yes, and I don't already have my mind made up on the project, and you're correct. There's a lot of people in our community up at the lake that are very for the project, and there's a lot of people that are fully against it without even fully knowing all the details. And I think that's why the TRPA decided to require that an EIS be prepared for the project, because it's a long involved project or process that involves public input, review of all the impacts. And so, I mean, yes, I'm fully committed to have an open mind on the project, but primarily I want to review the document when it's finally completed for adequacy and make sure technically it's sound.
I appreciate that, because that open mind is really, really important.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Deputy District Attorney Doug Ritchie.
Thank you. Just for clarification, is your employer creating or reviewing the EIS?
Could you repeat that, please?
Sure. Is your employer working on or reviewing the EIS for Barton?
No, sir. I'm self-employed.
Okay.
But I was asked to work on the document as a subcontractor, and I refused.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We all feel better with that answer, so thanks. All right, Commissioner Rice.
One thing that a lot of people don't understand is that even though we serve on the TRPA, you and the APC and me on the governing board, we don't just deal with things happening in Douglas County.
Right.
And we have to use our judgment for projects throughout the basin. And that's including the Biltmore up on the north end, which is no easy task. And seems like everything that comes before the board and the APC has two groups, one that's all for it and another one that's all against it. And somehow or another, it's always the same camps. And trying to deal with that is like walking a tightrope and trying to keep your objectivity and keeping in mind that in every project you have to have so many California votes
Right.
and so many Nevada votes. And it's very interesting to see the dynamics. So I don't envy you at one bit. And thank you for what you're doing.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. We'll go to public comment now. Is there any public comment on this agenda item? Seeing none, is there further discussion or a motion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Rice.
I move that we approve this candidate for the TRPA Advisory Planning Commission for a 2-year term as presented.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Rice, seconded by Commissioner Tolbert, that we approve Garth Alling for this position. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you for continued years of service. Thank you. All right, agenda item 15.2 for presentation only, announcements, reports, updates from county commission members, including updates on the various boards and/or commissions that they may be a member of or a liaison to, or any other meetings, functions they have attended, and any request by a commissioner for discussion of a future agenda item. Commissioner Tolbert.
I'm prepared.
Yes.
Last time I said it's one of my failings, and I'm working on it. So, okay, yesterday I attended the Partnership Douglas County board meeting, and as Mrs. Singer alluded to, the grant funding is down by a significant amount, and they're unable to support one of the additional programs that they typically do, which happens to be the suicide prevention program. So that was devastating for us to hear, but the conditions are what they are, and we're having to move forward and do what else we can. So the other things that are moving forward is that Partnership Douglas County is also looking to generate funds by fundraising events where they've typically been 100% grant funded. So they do have some events coming up. Two Dope for Drugs on October 11th will be a concert and a skate competition. And then we're also part of the fight night. So they're gonna have a booth out there and run a raffle. That's, I believe it's tomorrow night is the fight night at the. Tonight? Oh, it's tonight. Tonight's the fight night, right? So that'll be tonight. But the board continues to move on. And a lot of successes going on. And then also the Chipotle fundraiser, we're looking at doing it since the Chipotle opened and they offer those. So the partnership offered that tentatively October 18th. So if you go into Chipotle on October 18th, say you're here for Partnership Douglas County and proceeds of your meals go to that. So they're continuing to move on. To hit some of the points that Mr. Jackson asked about with the parks funding, we had the Parks meeting was Tuesday night, and so there are current projects that are underway that the advisory board is monitoring or approved to put forward to the county commission, and then we approved forward some really good information. The paid parking program to date has raised $159,180, so that those monies get back dispersed between the schools and the school district. Because they participate in actually manning that and picking up the trash and cleaning all that up, and then the remaining goes back into the paid parking program to help facilitate that. The fairgrounds land study that I think we talked about before. Some of it was brought up for possibly what improvements want to be made to the fairgrounds. That'll be completed late fall this year. We have the ADA playground we just approved for Stodic Park. We have the TRE splash pad that's going on, and other events that are there. And then, like Mr. Dove mentioned, it's been 6 years getting this Stodic Park playground on and being pushed forward. There's 45 potential projects on our list for capital improvement projects, and we only put forth 5 every year for potentially getting on there. So that's why it took 6 years. So there's a lot of things out there that people have asked for, recommended, and that's what this board does, is looks at them, looks at their viability, what funding is available, where they are and where the different funds are, because like we mentioned, there's North County, Central County, South County, and Lake County, specific construction tax money for parks. So we have the totals of what's in each one of those accounts, but like I said, there's 45 projects that we'd like to, that are on the list, and only 5 will be presented to be further investigated through parks that will be funded, potentially funded through the room tax funds or the RCT, residential construction tax funds. And I think that was most of it that I wanted to make sure we put out there. But yeah, a big success. I believe I'm not going to say, but we've made more money so far, and we still have a couple weekends to go with the paid parking program up at the lake than we did last year already, and we still have a few more weekends. So that was my update.
Commissioner Rice.
Thank you. I attended a Lake Tahoe, Douglas County Lake Tahoe Sewer Authority meeting. Once
You're not
again.
getting into that again, are
Oh,
you?
I'm not. Yeah, I'm always in deep, whatever. But surprisingly, Elk Point would like to become a GID, and they've approached me wanting to know how to do that, and I referred them to Mr. Ritchie because I haven't a clue. Most people are trying to get out of GIDs instead of forming them, but one thing that we sometimes forget is that GID is the closest government to the people. I mean, this is as close as you can get. And because they do the sewer, the water, the streets, the snow removal up at the lake. Down here, not so much, but, and I'm talking snow removal. So it's gonna be interesting. Kingsbury GID is reports that everything is going well. The same with Round Hill GID. Upaway, I never hear from. But I also attended a TRPA meeting, and as we discussed a little bit earlier, we have major projects going on at the lake. We just had our State of the Lake meeting with the congressman from California in Nevada, and I really appreciate the fact that that brings in a lot of money to keep the projects going, to keep our lake as pristine as possible. We also had a presentation from the DRE, Desert Research Institute, talking about mixing of the waters, and this stuff is way over my head, but things at the lake appear to be going well. There's some people that think that TRPA isn't doing their job in trying to keep the lake clean. I would disagree with that very strongly. And on a personal note, next week I will not be available because I am going to my 65th high school class reunion, and looking forward to that. And that's my report.
I hope that I get to go to my 65th.
I'm glad I'm around for it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Several things. First of all, something that I was notified just a few days ago by our state NACO organization is that we have the Capitol Christmas tree coming out of the local forest, and we've been involved over the last year creating ornaments for that tree, but it's just been announced also, and I pass this message along to our superintendent of schools, Mr. Alvarado, is that they have created an essay contest for fourth graders and out of the state of Nevada. And anyways, the best essay, I don't know who's the judge, but will be, that individual will be provided transportation to Washington, D.C. to be involved in the tree lighting ceremony when that takes place. So I'm anxious for our fourth graders to become involved in that. That's as close as I'm getting to the school board, okay? Just so you know, okay? With that, also, once again, the rodeo tomorrow night and Saturday night, a lot of local talent and a great event. And once again, we have the new bleachers in place, and so there are tickets, additional tickets available, and can be bought at the door. So don't forget about that item. Also, I'm sitting here with a Smash Hunger Pickleball. We have an organization or a leadership process in Douglas County called Leadership Douglas County, put on by our Chamber of Commerce. About 15 individuals on an annual basis participate in that process and program. It's been in existence for about 20 years now. But on September 13th, they do an annual project. And on September 13th, it's Smash Hunger Pickleball Tournament. And we'll be raising funds to cover costs of school lunches for kids in need and other activities. So anyways, that's 10 to 2 on September 13th. I wanted to make sure we gave a shout out to that.
Mr. Gardner, can I jump in on that one? Because I
Well,
forgot to mention it.
yeah.
I will be participating. My son and I, we put in a team, and
that's worth the visit.
Price
just
of
to watch
admission
you
right there.
play pickleball. Okay.
Yep. We're Team Babs, and also I don't have full confirmation, but I believe that I've also going to be assigned at 11 a.m. in the dunk tank. So all of you Johnson Lane
Oh my
residents
God. Okay.
that
Well,
want to
it's on
get,
my
you got
calendar
20
now.
minutes to put your dollars in and try to dunk me.
It's on my calendar.
11 a.m. Saturday the 13th.
It's on
Commissioner
my
Nate
calendar.
in the dunk tank.
Okay. And speaking of smashing success, I would say that I did attend the airport open house, and what a great event. If you didn't take an opportunity, even Commissioner Hales flipped some pancakes out there, I believe, or something. Yep. But anyways, what a great event. And if you didn't make it, too bad on you. But we're going to be doing and expanding that process, and hopefully having a full-blown air show here in the next couple of years. Also, I took an opportunity, and I want to thank Mr. Jackson. He's here today for hosting an open house of his model trains. I think there's 31 of those, I believe, was going around. So 8 running at one time. Impressive. So, and your electric bill will show the success of that this coming month. So anyways, thank you for the invite on that. Also, I wanted to announce that we had our Chamber of Commerce meeting yesterday that I attended. NNDA has, I don't know if they've announced a new one, but Jeff Sudich, the previous executive director of NNDA, has gone over to the Nevada Builders Alliance. So I don't know what's going on with the NNDA in regards to an appointment of a new individual to that. Also, on September 23rd, 24th, and 25th of this month is the annual Nevada Association of Counties Conference. In this year, it's in Las Vegas. And as the current president-elect of that organization, we have our annual elections then, so I expect to be elected president of NACO at that meeting and look forward to serving in that capacity in 2026. Several other individuals from our county over the last 100 years have served in that capacity, and I look forward to joining that list. So thank you very much, and that's what I have.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will note that I attended a Tahoe Transportation District committee meeting and then board meeting. They are proposing changes in routes, and one of those proposals is to eliminate the tramway loop. And I would have advocated passionately to keep it, but there are less than 2 riders a day on that loop. So it's hard to advocate in favor of those resources being spent there. Nonetheless, I advocated for alternate Nevada spending, so we'll see. But I wanted to mention it here because if anyone has an opinion, there will be a public comment and interaction taken over the coming weeks, so heads up on that. I enjoyed presenting to the Good Governance Group this week. They are engaged citizens that I commend for staying on top of things. I also wanted to mention the pickleball Smash Hunger, and that's going to be really fun. No, but I would if they asked me. We'll see. Wait, did I just say that? No.
You can participate. You can sign up. You don't have to be.
Oh no, I'm not playing yet. Maybe next time. Stormwater workshop I wanted to mention. It's really, really important for our county to hear from our residents and for them to hear from us. We have stormwater problems, and this stormwater workshop will really dig deep into what the situation is and what the solutions are potentially. That is September 17th from 3 to 6 at CVIC Hall. I know I am very, very interested in knowing what our community wants to do once they are informed of the facts that we will be informed of. And finally, I want to note that I also went to Jim Jackson's house, and it was completely delightful, above and beyond anything I expected. And he is good enough to open his railroad display on September 13th again. So, and I know he's delighted to share what they've done there, and it's absolutely remarkable. So anyone listening, I highly recommend that. All right, with that, we will move to agenda item 16, closing public comment. This will be taken on items within our jurisdiction. Mr. Jackson.
It looks like I'm closing the bar again. So, one, thank you for coming up to my open house. I like sharing it with everybody. It's a hobby that I've had for a long time. My dad started me in it when he had an HO layout, and then when he died, I received all that. But then I was a teenager, and I was more interested in cars and girls and that stuff, and I kind of let it go by the wayside. Then when I started it up again, HO was too small for me, and I found garden railroads. I like gardening, I like railroads, so the two work together real well. And you saw the extent of it, and it's going to continue to grow this year and everything, so appreciate it. One of the comments I made earlier, I think you mistook it when I said that a lot of the people perceive that we are taxed for things and then that money gets spent on something else. That wasn't a reference necessarily to you folks, it's to politicians. You look at what's going on at the federal government level. Money goes into an agency and then it's spent on all kinds of stuff that we had no intent on it being spent on. California, back when the lottery came into existence, was a very good example of it. I lived down there when that happened. Said all the money from the lottery is going to go to the schools. Well, it did. They cut the school budget by the exact same amount of the lottery money coming in. So the schools didn't profit at all from that. That's what we're talking about. Perception on what goes on at the county level is the battle that you have to fight. Doesn't mean that what you're doing is wrong. Doesn't mean what you're doing is right, but the perception of what's being done is the thing that you suffer by. And when people see a lot of money being spent on a lot of different things, and then we're told that you can't spend any money on the roads because you don't have any, people start, wondering what the devil is going on. They say they have no money at the end of the budget process, but then they spend all this other money. Yes, it comes from other sources and all that kind of stuff. I've been here enough times, I understand that. Most people don't. They just see money being spent, roads aren't being fixed, and roads are continuing to be damaged, and they get upset about that. I think you had mentioned you were going to have more community meetings, and I think that would be a long way, especially up in our area, because of all the stuff that's going on up there. Everything. But don't take it as I am shooting at you saying you're taxing us and spending the money differently than you're telling us. This is politicians in general, and you suffer the consequences of what other politicians do. Everything. But again, thank you very much for coming to my open house. I am opening it again on the 13th. The local car club saw the flyer and they said, can you do it again? And I said, yes. So those of you that want to come back, you're more than welcome to. And those that got rained out right at the end, please come again. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, I guess. Yes, I have to say, thank you again. Bob Lucy for the record, former Washoe County Commissioner and Nevada State Infrastructure Coordinator. I want to say, Madam Chair, Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Commissioners, a huge thank you to you. I don't think you guys get the congratulations and applaud enough for the work that you do. And County Manager and Deputy DA, the same goes for you. I think it's a thankless job a lot of times that people don't truly understand, to Mr. Jackson's point, that what happens behind and how the sausage is sometimes made. And it's difficult. And it's difficult to be in your positions to push the button and make those decisions, to your point, Commissioner Rice, with the TRPA and the other regional boards that we sit on, because it's not necessarily just issues that are in our backyard. This has been a wonderful meeting, and it's been a distinct pleasure to be back here with you today, and it's brought back a lot of memories for my tenure and service, and it does take a lot of commitment and dedication, and so I thank you for that. One of the things that I failed to mention earlier, that through the extension of the meeting, is that we talked about funding, a lot of funding that came on today in regards to CDBG grants and different things of that nature. In my change of roles from public service, I still am a native Nevadan by heart, and I still want to serve Nevadan, but I now serve as a senior advisor with the Porter Group out of Washington, D.C., who happens to be a lobbying firm that works very diligently with National NACO and our local NACO, and a lot of not only counties, but cities and municipalities throughout the state of Nevada. And so when we talk about CDBG funding, I would urge you to contact Sherry Davis at the GOED office. Sherry Davis does a lot of work with the CDBG, the community and rural development programs. And she also works with the Main Street programs, which offer a number of grant opportunities from the state level. But I would urge you to look at the CPS funding, which is community project funding from the congressional level. We're very fortunate to have a small delegation sometimes, in the sense that we have a very unique understanding of our state between our two senators and our one member of Congress that represents Douglas County, that opportunities can be have for projects such as roads, infrastructure improvements, parks, those types of things. So I would urge staff that if those are opportunities, to reach out. I'm always here and available to help with that. And I did a number of, during my tenure as NACO president, I served as a federal lobbyist as well for the state of Nevada. And those types of fundings went away with earmarks, but have come back creepily as community project funding. And so it's definitely an opportunity for counties and municipalities to get that boost in funding, being that we are 85% owned, our state, by the federal government. It makes it very challenging for our small population to withstand and withhold the amount of area here. So once again, thank you so much for the honor today to be with you, and I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.